surprising Boston Celtics news to discuss on today's show as we have a major Jaylen Brown injury update that was a bit unexpected for Boston Celtics fans. I did not expect to make this video today, but we have to talk about it as we heard some breaking news from the Boston Celtics that Jaylen Brown is going to undergo and has underwent surgery to repair the torn meniscus, the partially torn meniscus that he was playing through during the 2025 Celtics playoff run. This came in a little bit ago from the Celtics official Twitter account saying Jaylen Brown today underwent a successful right knee arthroscopic debridement procedure. He is expected to participate in training camp without limitation. So that little last nugget is some good news and a sigh of relief for Celtics fans in a way. But we're going to break down this injury and why it was a little bit unexpected for C's fans. But first, make sure you are subscribed to the channel because this is why you subscribe. When Celtics news breaks, we're going to bring you guys a video immediately. I got this notification coming across my timeline. I said, screw it. We're dropping the draft video that we were going to do today. We got to cover this breaking Jaylen Brown injury news. So subscribe to the channel and help us reach our next goal of 53,000 subscribers. Look, man, like I mentioned, this Jaylen Brown surgery was a little bit unexpected. He was mulling over the possibility of getting this surgery after the conclusion of the Celtics season, losing to the Knicks in 6 games. And I was kind of under the impression that he was not going to undergo the surgery. He was going to take this summer to rest and heal up and get ready to be the number one option, presumptively, for the 25-26 campaign without Jayson Tatum. A couple of weeks ago, Jaylen Brown said this to Noah Dalzell of Celtics blog. He said, I got a lot of doctors I got to get evaluated with. See the potential for surgery versus no surgery. Wait to speak to the organization. For now, it's just rest and recovery. I'm taking a step back from a long season. Mentally, it was a lot of stuff going on, and absolutely was, man. Like, you think Jaylen Brown, and he didn't play in the Olympics like a JT, Derek White, or Drew Holiday, but played at an uber-long playoff run last year and won the championship and was giving, 150% effort night in and night out and, hops right back into another long run that was kind of hampered by injuries as well. And originally, we didn't think this was a torn a meniscus. This was originally described as a bone bruise with some, other details added on the end back in March when Jaylen Brown was originally feeling a little bit of discomfort and missed a couple of games. And then, he gets to play in the postseason. And then on May 17th, Ramona Shelburne comes out and says it's a partially torn meniscus. So JB, absolute warrior. I appreciate, him not making a big deal of this injury. The Celtics not making a big deal of this injury because there was potential for him not to even have to undergo surgery this offseason. But I'm glad that he's getting it cleaned up, and the best course of action was to actually go out there and get the surgery done. But you couldn't really tell all that much as far as his production goes in the playoffs, but there's no doubt that his quick first step and his elite burst that he's been known for during his entire career was limited in this postseason. But he was still able to muster up 22 points a game, 7 rebounds, 4 assists a night, and had that incredible Game 5 performance to keep the Celtics season alive after the JT injury, where he put up 26, 8, and 12 times. Like, he was putting on for the city in Game 5, and he was an absolute warrior, and Brad Stevsn recognized that. He said this, Jaylen's a warrior. Jaylen takes great pride in being out there. And at the same time, he's obviously saw our team docs and a couple other people, and as he even said a couple weeks ago, the knee's in a good place structurally. So I think that he felt comfortable getting out there and going after it, and hopefully he'll feel better after being off it for a couple weeks here. And that was, from what Brad Stevsn is saying there, it seems like he didn't expect JB to get this surgery either. But look, I'm going to trust the doctors that Jaylen Brown is speaking with and consulting with here, that this was the best decision to make for next season and his long-term career. Like, the number one priority is for Jaylen Brown to be healthy, and that's kind of what hampered him in the 24-25 campaign. He had his best season in the Celtics championship run in 23-24, but it was kind of a step back for this season. The first year of Jaylen Brown's Supermax extension, and during the 24-25 season, he had a couple different bumps and bruises that limited him and made him miss 19 games, made him ineligible for the NBA end of season awards. Back in November, had a left hip flexor strain that kept him out 2 weeks. Also, January 2nd, he had a right shoulder strain. Then February, the knee starts swelling up. And then, he has a thigh contusion late February. Just a couple of nicks during a long season here. And then the big one in March where he started feeling discomfort, and that burst and that quick step kind of started leaving his game a little bit, where it was originally a bone bruise, but then, May comes around and it's revealed that it is a partially torn meniscus. Look, it's unfortunate, but hopefully this surgery can help accelerate Jaylen Brown and get him to playing back to the level that he was at in 23-24. And look, he's not going to be sitting here trying to, milk this injury and trying to make it go in this recovery timeline longer than it needs to be. JB said this after the season ended. He said, "You should expect from me to come out and leave my heart on the floor every single night next year. Expect me to just continue to improve and just look forward to taking matters into my own hands." And that's what's going to happen this next season. Without Jayson Tatum in the fold, Jaylen Brown is being vaulted in to that number 1 option spot. And this season is going to be very interesting. Like, the roster is not going to look the same according to basically every NBA insider across the board. So some moves are going to be made, but I'm not so sure that Jaylen Brown is going to be one of those moves. Looks like he is going to be the number 1 option for your Boston Celtics for next season. And with that being said, wish Jaylen Brown a speedy recovery so he can be out there for Game 1 of the 25-26 campaign. Spam those JBs. Flood the comment section with Jaylen Brown's, because guess what? He gets a lot of hate from Celtics fans and NBA fans in general. So you know what? Show him some love and wish him a speedy recovery down in the comment section. Spam those JBs down below. And make sure you get hooked up with some fresh gear for Celtics fans as well, as we got this fresh link, chatsports.com/6MOY, to get yourself a Peyton Pritchard 6 Man of the Year shirt. Look, he's not going to be traded, or at least it's very likely that he's not going to be traded, so you can have this drip for the long haul at this link right here. That's in the comment section and description of today's video, chatsports.com/6MOY. Go get your 6 Man of the Year gear today. All right, this surgery, I will say, and let's look at this from a moving forward standpoint. Like, how does the rest of the offseason look, and how does next season look for Celtics fans? Well, this surgery definitely lowers the chance of a Jaylen Brown trade. And, it was never, something that the Celtics are going to be pushing for to trade JB, but with the current NBA trade landscape, with the Kevin Durant trade kind of, getting the wheels turning over these next couple weeks, and Giannis saying that he probably doesn't want to leave Milwaukee at this point, like, Jaylen Brown is looking like the next best player that could be available in trades. Not saying he's on the trade block, but could be available in trades, as the Celtics have to shed a ton of money off of their books. And Chris Mannix, a NBA insider who is pretty tapped in with the Celtics and has been for a long time, linked the Spurs to a Jaylen Brown trade if they were to miss out on a Giannis Antetokounmpo. So I'm not so sure how realistic that all is. I actually think that the Spurs are going to end up with Kevin Durant over these next few weeks, so I don't think that that's all realistic for a Jaylen Brown trade, and especially with this injury now and the now road to recovery and uncertainty regarding his status for 2025-26, it just doesn't look all that likely that Jaylen Brown is going to end up getting dealt. But I'm not going to say it's a 0% chance. Like, we heard some Twitter rumors about the Celtics blowing it up. Like, the goal and the notion across the league is that the Celtics wanted to get under the second apron this offseason. But there's some Twitter rumors, mulling around that the C's might want to get under the luxury tax entirely. And for that to happen, it might require a Jaylen Brown trade. But I would pump the brakes on all that for now. I don't think it's all too likely. And like I said, especially with this surgery, that chance has been lowered pretty significantly at this point. And Brad Stevsn, I don't think Brad Stevsn wants to trade Jaylen Brown, especially with the way that he was speaking about him. He said, "The reality is we have a ton of good players and everybody leans on. That said, Jaylen and Jayson have gotten the majority of attention because of how good they are. And I have full faith that any game that you have those guys out there on the court, or one of those guys out there on the court, you have a great shot. And I have full faith in Jaylen." So, big words coming from your president of basketball operations, longtime head coach as well, that he has full faith in Jaylen Brown being the number 1 option for at least next season. So, now let's kind of get to reality a little bit and kind of look at this from, an objective standpoint. Look, I'm not the happiest camper with the fact that, JT is going to miss basically all of next season with a torn Achilles. Now Jaylen Brown's being vaulted into the number 1 option for the first time in his career, and he's coming off of, fairly major knee surgery here to repair a partially torn meniscus. Like, I know it was the right decision to go out there and do, and to be honest, I wouldn't be happy regardless with Jaylen Brown having surgery versus not having the surgery. It's just unfortunate that this is the circumstance now, and Jaylen Brown is unfortunately injured as he looks to be in that number 1 option spot. Look, I think he can do it. The games that he's played without Jayson Tatum in his career, the numbers have been insane. So I have faith that he's going to go out there, give 100% effort, and hopefully add a little bit more to his game that we haven't yet seen before. And Brown did say that he's spending the entire offseason in Boston as well. Throughout his NBA career, he's gone here, gone there, but has never spent a full summer in Boston absorbing the city. And has really stressed that this is his home. So I'm excited to see his rehab process and all the other extracurriculars that he gets into, as he's a very well educated and wants to get into all these different philosophical things in higher education around the Boston area as well. So I'm excited for him to get into all of that and get this recovery process going here after the surgery was underwent. But with that being said, Jaylen Brown is going to be your number one option next season for the Boston Celtics. So do you believe in JB as that number one option? Yes or no? Let me know in the comment section. Be honest for me. Coming off of this surgery, do you believe in Jaylen Brown as the number one for your Boston Celtics? Let me know in the comment section. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, because if any other news comes out about JB's recovery process, JT's recovery process, trade rumors, we're going to bring them to you right here at Celtics Today. So lock us in for the best Celtics content all offseason long. Hit that big red sub button. We'll see you guys on the next one. And as always, let's go C's.